Now, climate protests are continuing this weekend following a day of global demonstrations and strikes yesterday. Here in the UK, in Dover, the group Extinction Rebellion imposed a blockade on one side of a dual carriageway, aiming to draw attention to food security, given that the UK imports 40% of its produce. Let's get more reaction to what's going on. Joining us from central London is Baroness Scotland, Secretary-General of the Commonwealth nations. Very good afternoon to you. Let's talk first about Greta Thunberg, if we can. She was speaking in New York yesterday and speaking today at the UN ahead of this big conference on Monday. Pretty shameful, isn't it, that a 16-year-old has got to tell the world how to act?
But I think it's significant because what we've seen, the Commonwealth has 53 countries, 2.4 billion people, but 60% of that population is under the age of 30. And what the young are seeing is that their world is in serious trouble, and they are not willing to remain silent. And the Commonwealth hasn't been silent about this issue since 1989, which was the first time when the Commonwealth came together as a group of 53 and said that we are at risk, and that if any delay, we were going to be facing an existential threat, particularly for the small island states. And that was 30 years ago. And we really are now having to grapple with the reality of what we saw 30 years ago.
So if we've had summit after summit, and this was discussed 30 years ago, we're talking about it. Has there been any action?
I think there's been a great deal of action, because if you look at what happened in 2015 when the Paris Agenda was agreed, the Commonwealth had agreed the same system just a month before in November. And since then, we have not concentrated on talk. We've been talking about what are we actually going to do? What are the actions that we are taking? And in the Commonwealth, you'll know we created the Commonwealth Blue Charter with the action groups where each country is taking a lead, and we're looking at the positive, beneficial effects that we can together craft. So we're looking at what works, what doesn't work, and how we can get there faster and better. So yes, we are taking action. We are now understanding that this is a real threat. Look at what has just happened in the Bahamas. That country has absolutely been devastated by Hurricane Dorian, the biggest hurricane we have ever seen. 7,000 people in Bahamas are still missing, and the Grand Bahama and Abaco utterly destroyed. And we're seeing this repeated all over our Commonwealth, but all over our world. And it is making people stand up and say, we have to do something, and we have to do more, and we have to do it now.
Do you get the sense that some countries are more willing to tackle climate change than others?
Well, I know that I can speak for our 53. And the reason that the Commonwealth has been so passionate about it is that we have 31 small states. And for those small states like Kiribati and Nauru and the tiny states in the Pacific in particular, but also in the Indian Ocean and the Caribbean, this threat is real. It is not something that have to tell you about. People are dying, homes are being lost, and devastation is being visited on our islands. We saw it in 2015, in 2017, and we're seeing it now. And we're also having to deal with desertification. There is drought, there are floods, and this is getting worse and worse. And so we have to get better. And the things that the Commonwealth are putting together is trying as hard as we can to make a difference. We're looking at regenerative development. How can we blend the things that we know to make this reversal of the impact on climate change better and more successful?
Let's look ahead to the UN meeting on Monday. The Secretary-General, Antonio Guterres, has delivered a stark message to the heads of state who are gathering from Monday. Obviously, this will take place in New York, and America, a country that pulled out of the 2015 agreement.
Well, I think we have to be absolutely clear that the empirical evidence is there that climate change is real. I can certainly assure you that Antonio and I are absolutely committed to this. He is saying action, I am saying action. Our heads of state are saying action. So there may be those who are unconvinced, but climate is showing us that it is absolutely critical that we do everything within our power to change the dynamic that we are now seeing before us. And if we don't do that, then our children are right. You know, we are really going to put at risk their tomorrow. And those of us who've been banging the drum on this are not going to let that happen. We are going to do everything within our power to put the tools into the hands of those who are absolutely committed to challenging climate change, to enable them actually to do that which we know we. And I've been saying for a while, if not now, when? And if not us, who? And the commitment that we are seeing from Commonwealth leaders is really phenomenal. They came together in 2018 here in London and in Windsor, and there was total unanimity that this was something that we were together going to tackle and to push through. And the things that we have created, the new projects that we have, the work that we're doing on common sensing, which is looking at how the space agency, the UK Space Agency, can help all of us to better understand the differences. As I've mentioned, the Blue Charter, the looking at the financing. We've created a climate finance access hub to put money into the hands of our member states who want to do something about it, to mitigate, to adapt and to change and respond, and allowing them to do it with just $1 million from Australia. We've already been able to get over $28.2 million US dollars for our smaller member states, and we have $482 million worth of projects in the pipeline. So we're looking at really concrete things. And I think what's been quite reassuring is we're not just sharing with each other what works, we're also sharing what does not work so that we can get on the right track, save time, save money, and help each other get there more quickly. But action is what we need, and action is what we, certainly in the Commonwealth, are determined to deliver.
Well, we'll see who takes